Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you. Okay, anyway, recording in progress. Let's go. So y equals a times b to the x. So that is an exponential function, right? A represents the initial value. And we're going to see like a situation where we can determine the initial value from a real life situation. B is what we call the growth factor. Or it could be called the decay factor. Let me actually rewrite that a little bit better. Growth / decay factor. That's what I meant to say. So growth is when b is bigger than 1. Decay when b is between 0 and 1. Can also be expressed as 1 plus r, where r would be the percent growth or decay. So it can also be expressed as 1 plus r. You can replace b with 1 plus r. Or y equals a times 1 plus r raised to the t power. Very similar, just we tend to use this for word problems. Okay, that's kind of the nuts and bolts. So there's two things you need to figure out. What is the initial value? What is the growth factor? Or decay factor if it's declining. Okay, before we do part B, let's look at my childhood home. All right. So this is before I show you the picture. So we were the original owners. I want to say we got in 1980, but I think technically it says 1981 in Zillow. But we were the original owners. It's in Fremont, so across the bay. It's 2-story house, 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, quarter-acre lot. My parents, I think, paid $200,000 for it in 1980. What do you think the house is worth now in 2023? $3.2. $3 million. It's worth $3 million. It's crazy. They sold the house in 1991, so they didn't get to realize all that profit, but they made money off their other house in Redwood City, so it's all the same, I guess. But so let me type in my address: 43750 Vista Del Mar. I went to Mission San Jose High School. It's kind of like a Pali type school. Okay, you can see the Mission Hills in the back, right? Yeah, Fremont, California. So $3 million, 3.064. That's what Zillow has, right? Now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some mathematical modeling with this house. Okay. Now, and by the way, I think it's kind of crazy someone pays $3 million. I don't think that house is really worth $3 million, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. That's the market. What was that? There's no pictures inside. No, unless the house goes for sale. Yeah, actually, I would love to go back and look inside. That'd be kind of a trip, but I think they've merged one. Yeah, that is weird. Actually, it was. I know for a fact there was. My parents had a master. My brother shared a room. We had our toys in the other room. We had a guest bedroom, and we had a bedroom downstairs. So they may have rearranged the walls. I don't know. Who knows? So, I don't know. It's a great question. That's a fantastic question. I don't. Well, we always had people visiting. Like either we'd have like relatives from the Middle East come visit, or people from my dad did business with. They would come like for business. They'd stay at our house. I don't know. But one room was all the toys. We had that. So we had a crap load of toys like G.I. Joe, Transformers, Star Wars. It was too much. Anyway, let's do some math here. So let me go to a whiteboard. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so the initial value. So we'll make a table. So T is time and the value. Or X and Y. Same thing, right? So at 0, that's going to be 1980, right? So T equals 0 will be 1980. You can write this anywhere. Or, you know, actually, you can just relax and watch. You don't need to write this down. Just relax. That's fine. So the house will say, and I don't know exactly, I have to ask my parents what they paid, but I think it was $200,000. Okay. Now, it doesn't give the data for 1981, though. Yeah, it doesn't show that. So I don't know why. So 43 years has passed, right? the house is worth about 3 million. We'll just do 3 million to keep it simple. So what's the equation for an exponential function? Y equals A times B to the X, right? What is the initial value of the house? $200,000. So A is $200,000. So Y equals $200,000. Now, unfortunately, I don't have all the other data. I don't know what the house was worth in 1990 or what the house was worth in 1990. Actually, I kind of do because the house did sell in 1995 and in 2002. So I do have that data on Zillow, but we'll get there in a sec. But I don't know what the house was worth every passing year, right? So what I'll do is I'll take the current value and plug into the equation. What am I going to plug in for Y? 3 million. Great. Awesome. What am I going to plug in for X? 43. Now, this is the part that's kind of tricky, and I haven't taught you guys how to do this yet. I haven't taught you guys how to undo an exponent. You will learn that later in the year. But for now, let's get rid of the 200,000. How would I move the 200,000 from the right side of the equation to the left side? Not subtract, because it's being times this. What's opposite of times? Divide. Good, good. We want to divide. So let me divide this by 200 grand. If I do that, I should get 15 on the left side. And let me erase this stuff because I need space now. So we had a small table. So that's going to be 15 equals B raised to the 43 power. Now, again, I haven't taught you guys how to do this yet, but you do something called a root, but you don't square root, you 43rd root. Yeah. And it's kind of weird. The calculator actually will do this for you. The graphing calculator is actually very powerful and can do this for you. If you do it correctly, you should get 0.065. Sorry, 1.065, my bad. So that's the growth factor. So what this means is that every year, the price, the value of the house is multiplied by 1.065. More specifically, the percent increase is 6.5%. Because you do, that's 1 plus R, right? Remember I said 1 plus R used for word problems? The growth factor is the same as 1 plus R. And because it's positive, it's greater than 1, R is positive. If it was less than 1, R is negative. So the house went up 6.5%. Okay, great. Let's see if this makes sense now. Let's see if this makes sense. So let me stop. Let me go back to sharing a full screen. Now, there is some historical data here, and it's based upon what the house sold for. I don't know why it doesn't show the 1991 sale. That I couldn't tell you. But in 1995, it sold for $437,000. 2002 it sold for 1.15, and of course, where it bought in 2002 is sitting pretty. They're sitting on $2 million of extra cash. Maybe if they paid the house off, then they're sitting on $3 million cash. Good for them. Anyway, let's bring up the calculator. So I'm going to do and you guys can follow along or just watch. But if I do 200,000 times 1.065, so apparently this is the increase, right? Every year, on average, didn't always follow this because a lot of different things that happened historically over the last 43 years. We had, 2 different wars our country fought in. We had 3 different recessions. We've had a lot of stuff happen over the years. But in 1981, it should be worth that much, okay? Let me times that by 1.065 again. I'm going to do this 42 times. Why is it 1.065? Because when I solve for R, that's what it gave me. Which means that it's 6.5% increase per year. Okay, this is 1982. 1983. 84. 85. 86. 87. 88. 89. 1990. 1991, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995. So in 1995, the house would be worth about $514,000, but it says 437. So
that's end of 19.
True, but even then, 1994, 1993, still. So what happened? Does anyone know what happened in the early 90s?
Oh,
historically, before the dot-com boom.
Great.
So our country is at war. So we had 2 wars against Iraq in 1991 and in right after 9/11 in 2003 and for about 10 years after that. So the country's at war. There was a recession that happened. Trump, as you know, is a one-term president. Prior to Trump being a one-term president, George W. Bush's father, who? Barack? No, I think it's Barack Obama. Sorry. Okay, all right, no worries. We get political. No, I don't care. I'm not. I won't get offended.
It's for Trump.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
The guy back there thought.
Okay, no worries. All right. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, George Bush Sr. George Bush Sr. was a one-term president because the economy went to crap. So we see that things didn't quite follow according to plan, according to this model. You know, the market was kind of crappy. Now, let's keep going. 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. So in 2002, the house should be worth about 800 grand, but sold for 1.15.
Inflation.
And also, well, kind of a little bit. Maybe it's more pronounced now for sure. But what happened in those 7 years? What happened in the Bay? What's the big thing that happened over that 7 year period in the Bay Area? The market went what? Why did the market do well? Well, tech boom. Thank you, Elliot. The tech boom, guys. Apple, Facebook, Google, Tesla, all these companies started doing really well. Well, actually, at that time, it was more Microsoft than Intel. And crashed again. Yes, we will get there. We'll get there again. It was 08. It was 08. Yeah. 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 You know your econ. Good job, Elliot. I like it. All right. Anyway, so this didn't follow the model because the market was doing really well. Look at all these homes, like all these people are like making a lot of money off the stock market, right? So yeah, stocks are doing well. The school got it. We got $200 million campaigns. We built Homer and this after 2002 because you'll have money. So anyway, let's keep going, guys. No. I'm saying, but because of all that money that people made, they had $100 million campaign in 2008. We did to build Homer and the entire lower middle, yeah, and all the athletic fields. And then who don't? Was it like no, it's a lot of people. It's a lot. No, it's a lot of people. I mean, it's well, actually, it's Rich Dioli who goes to fundraise. He gets all the money. But anyway, let's keep going, guys. I lost count. Guys, let me finish. 2003, 2004, 2005, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So you see the model. Now we get to 3 million. But this is assuming a perfect exponential increase throughout the entire 43 years. Of course, that doesn't happen. 1991, we had a war, we had a recession. In the late 90s, we had the dot-com boom. People were making a lot of money. Things went up really high. Then we had 9/11. Then we had like another war. And then we had 2008. We had the recession, the housing market collapse, right? And then things went up again. And then things went down during COVID and back up. So there's a lot of changes. Like, for example, let's look at the stock market. Let's look at Apple. Apple stock is a good comparison because Apple stock came public when my parents bought their house in the early 80s. I wish my parents bought Apple stock, but they didn't. So, but let's look at Apple. Let's understand that. Full screen. All right, let's go Max. Okay, so as I said, like Apple started right in the early 80s, right? And it did well. Then it kind of stayed stable. What happened in the late 80s with Apple? Steve Jobs left. He was fired. Yeah, he was fired. And also at that time, who was killing the computer market? It was Intel and Microsoft. It was really those two companies, not Apple. Then all of a sudden, Steve Jobs comes back, right? And what does Steve Jobs do when he comes back? What does he start for Apple? What new product? The iPhone. Look at that. They make a lot of money. The Lisa was that's the 80s. He named the computer after his daughter, Lisa, which he failed to actually acknowledge when he's in his early adult years, which is really kind of weird. But now
because didn't he frame her that like she wasn't his son?
The mother of the child, yeah. I don't know. There's a story behind it.
Oh, the story is
you might know, Baron. I don't know.
He said like that it wasn't his daughter, and that's
but he claimed later on that. But afterwards, he did acknowledge her. So anyway, and I'm really sad. He died in 2011, I think. Yeah. Wow, you really know your. Oh, look at you. You're all right. Wow. All right. You're on it today, Elliot. Anyway, now let's look at the last 15 years because Apple has done incredible over the last 15 years because everyone's getting iPhones. People are paying money for Apple products, right? So is this exponential? Yeah. But is it perfect exponential? No, because there's lots of ups and downs, especially in 2020 with COVID, right? But for the most part, this is following an exponential model. So you can also use an exponential model for stock market, house prices, even things going down like a car price or a population declining. So now let's get back to the worksheet again. I'm done telling stories. Let's go, let's finish this off. So how can I identify A from a table? I'll do as a text box. So let's get back to take notes. The A value is always the Y value when X equals 0. That is why we call A the initial value. Okay, that's how you identify A. How do you get the B value? We need to plug in a pair of coordinates from our table for X and Y in order to solve for B. Do this after determining what A equals. So that's how I do. And I already gave you guys an example, right? We looked at the house, my childhood house, initial value. I mean, wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, it's $200,000. Pretty sure it is. B, I had to plug in, one of the data points and solve for B algebraically. I promise you, the work I'll give you guys today will be easier to solve for B. It won't be as complicated as the one I did for my childhood house. So, but that's how you would determine B.
Wait, can you teach us how to plug it into the calculator?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'll show you when we're doing some work. So actually, this last thing I just wrote goes for part C. My apologies. So this goes for part C, and this goes for part B. So sorry that put a little out of order. But what helps is have some context. Like, oh yeah, I paid this much for this house. Oh yeah, this house is worth this much. Now I can figure out A and B are making an equation. Or have a table or a graph. Like there's a lot of different ways you can make the equation if you have some sort of information given to you. Okay, so now let's go to the first page. And I'm going to kind of tee this up for you guys. Should be pretty easy. We're going to make a scatter plot. So we're going to do this. Okay, let me do this better. My apologies. So what podcast do you listen to?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just like.
Or you're just well read.
Yeah.
Good, I love it. Okay.
I think the Facebook story is actually a little more interesting.
You want to educate us?
What do you mean by the Facebook story?
What's his name? Like.
Mark Zuckerberg?
No, yeah, but the guy who like gave him the funding to create it. And then, like,
Sean, the guy from PayPal. What's his name?
Oh,
Was that no, before another guy.
He has like.
No, it's another guy.
They tried to sue him because he
No, I know, but what's his name though? Forgetting his name. Hold on.
because he was a co-founder and then he didn't recognize him.
Oh no, that I know. That's his business partner. But I'm talking about the guy who funded it though.
It didn't work.
No, that's Eduardo Saverin. That's someone else.
Yeah. Like,
The Winklevosses, right? They sued him also, right? Have you guys watched Social Network?
Yeah.
Great movie, love it. Kind of, yeah.